Hey everyone, this is a supplemental video to go over some problems that we didn't get to on March 4th. So I'm going to go over the problems in 3.10 at the end of chapter 3. For your chapter 5, for your homework number 5, I've asked you to do 5 problems in 3.10. We went over some of the problems in class, but then my laptop ran out of battery. So I'm going to go over the ones that we didn't finish today. I'm going to go over 3B, 5B, and 6A, and I'm just going to pull up the whiteboard and go through them one by one. If at any point you have any questions, you can just pause the video. You can write your questions down, and you can send me an email or just make an appointment with me in office hours, and we can kind of go over the content. After I'm done with this video, I'm going to take all of the problems that I've done on the whiteboard, I'm going to lasso them and I'll paste them into the notes. So you'll have them 2 ways, one through this video so that you can watch and just see me work through it if you need some explanation, and then also just the problem completed all at once in the notes. Okay, as always, if you have questions, just let me know. Let's get started. I'm going to share my screen. And I am going to pull up my whiteboard here, so just give me a second. Okay. And let's start with this 3B. Put you guys down for just a second. All right. So 3B, we have to prove that it is valid in K row. You're told that it's valid in all of these problems. For number 3 in your homework, for homework number 5, you're already told that it's valid. You just have to prove it. So what we're going to do is what we usually do when we have a proposition that's telling us that this whole thing is supposed to be valid. We are going to negate the entire conditional. So we get it's not the case that box A then B and possibly A and C. And all of this is the antecedent of a conditional that we're negating, which says possibly B and C. Make sure that you have the right parentheses and that this is indeed a conditional. Your main connectives here should be this negation, which is ranging over this conditional within its scope. All right, from here, we're just going to use our usual rules when we have a negated conditional and we get the antecedent, which is necessarily, I'm sorry, that's supposed to be a box, A then B, and diamond A and C. And this entire conjunction proposition is true at world 0. And then we get a negation of the consequent, which is it's not the case that diamond B and C. And that is also true at 0. So we have just done this one right there. From here, I'm just going to simplify our conjunction. So I'm going to start with this guy right here and get each of the conjuncts by itself, given our rules, and that gives us necessarily A then B at world 0, and diamond A and C at world 0. And that is me just taking this conjunction and using our conjunction rule in Tableau, which allows us to stack it within one branch. After that, I am going to take this one right here, which is a negated diamond claim, and I'm going to use our negated diamond rule, which says essentially that it gets pushed in and the diamond turns into a box. So we get box not B and C at 0, and that is me doing this one right here. Now, so far, I've done just anything that we would do in K. I haven't even appealed to the fact that we are in system row. If you wanted to at this point, in fact, at the very beginning, you could have said that 0 is related to 0. I haven't done that yet because I just like to get the worlds out first that we need, if any. I also like to stack all of the claims that we can in one branch before I start doing anything outside of K. So I'm not going to appeal to the fact that it's row quite yet. So we've got a couple of claims that we need to work on. We've got this one, which is a box claim that so far, because I haven't said 0 is related to 0 yet, I can't do anything with. We have this other box claim that's for similar reasons we can't do anything with. If we were just working in K, the only thing we could do something with is this diamond claim here. And as I've told you guys before, I like to proceed as if we are in K, and then I'll add the extension rules afterwards. So I'm going to take this one, our diamond rule, and I'm going to our diamond claim, and I'm going to apply the diamond rule to it. And what that gives us is that we get that 0 is related to 1, and A and C is true at 1. And so that's just applying the diamond rule to this diamond claim right here at 0. Once we've got that, we then can get that A is true at 1 and C is true at 1. And that's me just taking the conjunction rule and applying it to this line right here. Okay, now at this point we have, again, this box claim up here, and we've got this box claim here. And we can really have our choice of what to do at this point because we have those box claims and we've introduced a world. I am going to appeal to the fact that we are dealing in row. So if you go back up, remember, we are trying to prove this in K row up here. So now I am going to state that all the worlds that we have can see themselves. So I'll say that 0 can see 0 and 1 can see 1. You can do that at any point in the proof. There's no rule that says when you have to say that. So it's really up to you and your strategy. Once we've got that, we can take this box claim here and you can try to see where you want to show that A then B is true at. In a system that's reflexive, if you have necessarily A then B at 0, then you know that A then B is true at 0. But also because we have 0 can see 1, we know that A then B is true at 1. Because I have already produced an atomic relation at 1, A at 1 and C at 1, and because we've been told this is valid and we're looking for a contradiction, that's really what's relevant here, is looking to produce a contradiction against the atomic statements you've already got. So that's what I'm going to do. I've got my box A then B at 0. I know that 0 is related to 1. So what follows from that is that A then B at 1. And again, I'm just doing that from this claim, and it's giving me this claim here. Okay. Once I've got that, I can also deal with this claim here, which is another box claim at 0. And since I've already seen that I've got a bunch of atomic statements at 1, let's just worry about how all these necessity claims at 0 affect the truth value of certain propositions at 1 to see if we can yield our contradictions a bit more quickly. As was asked in class on Thursday, yes, because this is reflexive, all of these claims that I'm saying are true at 1 are also true at 0, because 0 can see 0 and we have necessity claims at 0. But if we can get a contradiction before we sort of produce that statement, then we can close our tableau before we have to extract that. So that's what I'm going to do. From our necessarily not B and C at 0, I am going to get that it's not the case that B and C at 1, because the necessity claim is at 0, 0 is related to 1, so it's not the case that B and C at 1. And at this point, I see that I have this one, and now we're back to our chapter 1, very beginning of the semester tableau rules without any modal claims. I'm going to apply those rules to see if we can get a contradiction, and as you will see, we can. So I'm going to take the first one, and A then B at 1 becomes not A at 1 and B at 1. And that already gives us a contradiction because we have not A at 1, and we have A at 1, so that's our contradiction there. And then we have, that was me just applying the conditional rule to this one right here when I split the branches and then got the contradiction, but we still have this one right here. So I'm going to do that, and that gives us, remember, it's a negated conjunction. So it means that we get, problem with my pen, not B at 1 and not C at 1. And that gives us a contradiction here and here. So that we can close, and then we've got a contradiction here and here, and we could close that as well. And then that was me just using this one right there. So there we've already closed our proof, and that is our entire tableau right there. Yes, it's the case that we have this box claim, and we have this box claim too. And yes, it's the case that because of that, and because 0 is related to 0, both of these claims mean that the conditional within the scope of the box, for the first one, A then B, and for the second one, that negated conjunction, it's not the case that B and C, that those claims are true at 0. But the way that we've done the proof here, that isn't really relevant and doesn't help us get the contradiction that we got in this particular tableau. So you don't need to extract it if you've already gotten your contradiction. So again, just repeating a point we talked about in class, and then I mentioned just a second ago, is you have two ways to finish your proof. One is to go through and apply all the rules that apply to every statement that you can. And if you do that and it's not closed, then your proof is complete. The other way to complete your proof is to come to a contradiction. And as soon as you come to a contradiction on all of your branches, you're done. Even if that means there are some rules that you haven't applied to certain lines, it may be that you come to a contradiction before you can use those rules. That's fine. You've already done your job. Okay, so that is 3B. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm just going to keep going. So let's go over here to 5B. I'll try and roll through this pretty quickly. And 5B, we're trying to prove in upsilon. So this is the one where you don't have to write the relations. We did this in class in two ways. One, we did one of the problems that was in the book. I think it's 3.5.3. And then we also did 5A. So let me just do one more. Remember, you don't have to put the relations, but you do when you have the diamond rule, you do have to introduce a new world. You just don't have to be explicit that that new world is related to whatever world the possibility claim is true at, because every world's related to every other world. What the possibility claims are doing is they are just telling you, in effect, how many worlds you need to deal with. So for this one, we're going to start as we always do. We're going to negate the whole claim. So we get it's not the case that diamond A then box diamond A, and this is all going to be true at 0. Because it's a negated conditional, we proceed as we usually do. So we get diamond, sorry, that's a funky diamond. Diamond A at 0, and it's not the case that box diamond A at 0. And that is me just applying the negated conditional rule to that. I'm going to push this negation in. So the second line, I am going to get diamond not diamond A at 0. That is me just taking this claim right here and applying our negated box rule, which allows us to turn the box into the diamond and push the negation in. Then I'm going to take a look at this one right here and recognize that I can introduce a world. I can also introduce a world to this one too. So we've got two possibility claims, which means we're going to introduce at least two worlds because of how the possibility rule works. You do not have to write the relation. So taking that diamond A, that first possibility claim, we get that A is true at 1. Now, normally you would have to say 0 is related to 1 and A is true at 1. This time, just write the proposition and say which world it's true at. And remember, this world here has to be new. So we're still maintaining that rule from before. We just don't have to write the world relation. We can do a similar thing with this claim right here. It's a diamond claim, so we get to introduce a new world, and this time this claim, the thing within the scope of the diamond, is going to be true at a new world. Because the world has to be new, what we get is it's not the case that diamond A at 2. So both this one, oh sorry, that was supposed to be yellow, and this one are true at new worlds because those claims are true in the scope of a diamond operator at world 0. From there, you can take this last claim and you can apply the negated diamond rule to get box negation A at 2. And that is me just taking this one right here. We've dealt with this one right here, and we've dealt with this one right there. Once we've got that, if you take a look, we've got this proposition A is true at 1, and now we've got this box claim. It's not the, box, not A at 2. Because every world is related to every other world, then we know that 2 can see 0, 2 can see 1, and 2 can see itself. We don't have to write that. We just know that when we're doing it, every world can see every other world. What that means is that when we have a box claim, the claim within the scope of the box, we know that this not A is going to be true at every world. So what matters is that not A is true at 1. That's really all that's important to us, because that will deliver our contradiction, and we get that not A is true at 1 and A is true at 1. That's our contradiction, and so that's the proof. So that is 5B. That is proving it in Upsilon. In your homework, I asked you to do 5D, and we did 5A in class. I'm just warning you, 5D is a little longer, so don't expect it to go as quickly as 5A or 5B, but the concept is the same. Just, you know when you're doing it that all worlds are related to every other world. All you are doing is introducing new worlds when you get a possibility claim. And every time you introduce that new world, you don't have to explicitly state the relation to the world that that possibility claim is true at, but you do have to introduce a new world for that proposition that's in the scope of the possibility claim. If you have any questions about that, just let me know. I can also go over it again in class on Tuesday. Okay, let's move on to the next one, and that'll be the end of our short little video here. All right, so the next one is 6A, and this one you just have to say which hold in which hold in K rho tau. And for your homework, I've just had you do 6B. So let's do 6A. I don't think we did any of these in class. This is not going to give you a verdict of whether it's valid or invalid. You have to find out. And if it's invalid, then you have to do a world counter model. And you have to say, what does that mean? Well, it means that you may just keep applying rules and you're not going to get a contradiction, but that doesn't necessarily mean you've done something wrong. Maybe it's an invalid argument. So let's take a look at this one and see if it's valid or invalid. I'm going to start as we usually do and take this conditional and negate the whole thing. So we get it's not the case that diamond box, sorry, you know that's a box, P, then box diamond P, and this is all at 0. We will apply the negated conditional rule as we usually do, which gives us our antecedent here, diamond box P at 0, and then it's not the case that box diamond P at 0. And that's me just applying the negated conditional rule to this first claim right here. At this point, you have a couple of moves. You can push this negation in if you wanted to, or you could introduce a new world. Either one is an option for you. I'm just going to introduce a new world so we see what we're dealing with. We are in rho tau. Sorry, that was supposed to be yellow. So for this one, you're not an upsilon anymore. Remember, when you're in S5, you don't have to write the relations, but anytime you're not and it specifies, and because we're supposed to say which hold in K rho tau, you do need to specify your relations. So at this point, I am going to take that diamond claim that we have, the diamond box P. I'm going to explicitly state my relation that 0 is related to 1, and that box P is true at 1, and that is me applying the diamond rule to this one. Now I'm going to take this one right here and apply the negated box rule to it, and what that gives me is diamond box diamond P at 1, and that again is just taking the negated box rule to this one, and then I get that bottom line. That's a diamond claim, so I can apply my rule here. Oh, sorry, it is at 1. So what that means is that, I'm sorry, it's not at 1. I just completely wrote the wrong world. So this is why it matters. This is at 0. And the reason for that is because this is at 0. So when we essentially push that negation in and change the box to a diamond, it has to maintain. So if this is at 0, this is at 0. It's just my fault. Oh, typo. Okay. So now that I've got that, we need to make sure that 0 is related. And now we have to introduce a new world. It can't be 1 because 1's already introduced. So 0 is related to 2. And it's not the case that diamond P at 2. That is me taking the diamond rule. Oh, sorry, pen issues. Here we go. Well, just a second. There we go. So that is me taking this diamond rule and applying it to this line here, and that gives me it's not the case that diamond P at 2. Now that I've got that, I can push that negation in, so I get box not P at 2, and that is me just applying the negated diamond rule to there. And now at this point, I have not said 0 is related to 0, 1's related to 1, 2 is related to 2. I haven't applied rho. I also haven't used the transitivity rule. So we need to see if we can even apply that. So let's do that now. Let's extract all our relations. We have 0's related to 0. We've got 1's related to 1. And we've got 2's related to 2. Now the thing is, what we have is 0's related to 1 and 0's related to 2, but that doesn't allow us to apply transitivity. With transitivity, the world here has to match the world here, right? If 0's related to 1 and 1's related to 2, then we could conclude that 0's related to 2. But we don't have that here. Here, essentially what we've got is world 0 is related to world 1, but world 0 is also related to world 2. And that doesn't satisfy transitivity in the way that we want. It has to be a sort of chain of worlds. So transitivity doesn't even apply here. So we are not going to even use the rule. That's sometimes the book will be tricky in that way, and it will put you in a system where one of the rules doesn't even apply. So what can we do? Well, we've got these reflexive relations, so we can see if that can yield anything. We've got this box claim here at 2. We've got this box claim here at 1. But every other proposition we have checked off, so we've used. So let's see if these box claims will yield anything given these relations here, or quite frankly, any of the relations here, but I don't know if it will because these box claims are true at worlds other than 0. So if you look at those box claims and you look at the relations, in particular the reflexive relations, what you get is that for the box P at 1, you get that P is true at 1. And for the box not P at 2, you get that not P at 2. That is me, for the first one, just applying the box rule to the fact that 1 is related to 1, and I get P is true at 1 right here. And for the second one, it is me taking the fact that that we have this not diamond P at 2, and 2 is related to 2, and that gives me not P at 2. But that's it. We've done everything that we can do, and we don't have any more moves at our disposal. So that's it. If you look at every single line that is a modal claim or some kind of compound statement, which we don't really have because we only have negations and modal operators here, we're done. And so this is open. And so we need a world counter model. And if you look, I've already started it over here to the left. What I need to add is the fact that this is reflexive. So all these worlds can see themselves. Transitivity doesn't apply here. So this is really it. 0 is related to 1, 0 is related to 2. All worlds are related to themselves. And then we've got the relevant propositions. So P is true here at 1 and not P is true here at 2. And this is your counter model. And so it turns out that this one is invalid. And unlike the other ones where we could just get a contradiction and it would be done, this one is open and it is invalid. All right. That's your proof. That's 6A. You have to do, again, you have to do 6B in your homework.